Most people are trying to manifest and achieve their goals using only their conscious mind, through logic, linear thinking, and effort. And sure, that can get you somewhere, but it's slow and it's clunky. It feels like trying to carve a mountain with a spoon. But the biggest geniuses, the greatest business minds, and the most powerful creators in the world, well, they learned a different way. They learned how to access the superconscious, the part of them that can tap into higher intelligence, create on demand, and switch into different timelines with ease. Today, I'm going to show you why your superconscious is the missing link to real success and the 3 massive roles it plays in your life. By the end of this video, you will understand why you don't need to become better to succeed. You just need to use the right structure and pull in superconscious wisdom. Stick around because at the end, I'm also going to show you how to activate this power inside you today. Let's get into it. When I first heard the word superconscious, I'll be honest, my first thought was, well, what the hell is that? Maybe you're thinking the same right now. Well, here's the simplest way to put it. Your superconscious is your highest intelligence. It's the part of you that was already there before you even had a body, a brain, or an identity. It's connected to what science calls the unified field, the infinite field of all possibilities. Your superconscious is not emotional, it's not reactive, and it's not limited by your past experience. It operates purely from creativity and potential. It's the part of you that can shift your brain and body at a cellular level, download genius level ideas, insights, and intuitive knowing beyond logic, and it can integrate the wounded parts of you because the way you think you're broken right now is actually your superpower. In other words, the superconscious is the you that you were always meant to be, the version of you that already knows how to create, heal, evolve, and succeed without having to fix yourself first. Once you learn how to consciously work with it, you unlock possibilities most people spend their entire lives chasing. The superconscious plays 3 major roles in your life. Let's break them down. First, your superconscious gives your unconscious mind the instructions that it follows. See, your unconscious mind doesn't think for itself. It doesn't evaluate. It doesn't weigh pros and cons. It's like a loyal soldier. It just carries out orders. And those orders were given to it a long time ago, mostly from your family, society, and early experiences. They created what you might call your default settings, the behaviors, emotional patterns, and even physical conditions you live with today. Here's the problem. If your unconscious is running old, outdated instructions, you'll keep getting old, outdated results, no matter how much you try harder. And that's why so many people stay stuck. They think something's wrong with them. But the truth is, they are simply following an old set of instructions that are no longer serving them. The superconscious has the power to recode those instructions. When you consciously connect to it, by using a few specific commands, you can rewrite the patterns that are running your life and create new results without grinding your gears. Think of it like updating the software on your phone. If you're still running iPhone 6 software in 2025, of course it's gonna lag. Same thing with your unconscious mind. By tapping into your superconscious, you don't just motivate yourself harder, you change the code you're running. And that's when real success starts feeling natural instead of forced. The second role of your superconscious is to provide you with insight and intuition. Most people are trained to think that success comes from logic, effort, and calculated steps. But if you study any breakthrough, whether in business, science, or arts, it almost never came from grinding it out with spreadsheets and willpower. It came from a flash of intuition, an aha moment that seemed to appear out of nowhere. And that nowhere is actually your superconscious. It's constantly tuned into the unified field, scanning for possibilities that your conscious mind simply cannot see because it's too busy filtering reality based on what it thinks is important for you. Therefore, the conscious mind, at its best, is only able to process about 2,000 bits of information at once. But your superconscious is connected to around 400 billion bits of information, giving you access to realities and solutions far beyond what you could ever figure out manually. This is why your best ideas tend to show up when you're not forcing it, while you're taking a shower, walking, or doing something repetitive. When you relax, your superconscious can finally get a word in. The cool part is you can even actively ask your superconscious for guidance. And often it responds by giving you a symbol, an image, or a feeling. And when you receive it, your job isn't to analyze it logically. Your job is to make up what it means using your intuition and imagination to unlock the wisdom behind it. For example, there's a story about a coach who was preparing to meet a wealthy client for the first time. Before the meeting, he asked for guidance, and the image of a guitar flashed into his mind. Now, it didn't make much sense logically, so he ignored it. Later, during their conversation, the client shared that he had always dreamed of being in a rock band, but he abandoned the dream to chase business success instead. All of his current frustrations were tied to feeling like he had betrayed his true passion. See, if the coach had trusted the symbol and mentioned the guitar, he would have instantly connected at a much deeper level and made an unforgettable impression as someone who truly understood him. This is the ancient secret known as the Philosopher's Stone, the ability to turn invisible inspiration into tangible creation. When you consciously work with your superconscious, you no longer have to rely on guesswork. You can receive exact guidance on what business to start, who to partner with, what steps to take, and even how to solve problems before they ever show up. With this wisdom, instead of relying on chance, you can finally create with precision. Now, the third and maybe most life-changing roles of your superconscious is this. With its help, you can integrate your shadow. Now, shadow doesn't mean anything dark or sinister. It simply means the parts of yourself you've disowned because somewhere along the line, you believe they made you in some way not enough. Here's the crazy thing. Pretty much everyone has a dominant wound they unconsciously organize their entire identity around. And most people never even realize it's running the show. Maybe you recognize yourself in one of these patterns. I am not worthy unless I help others and deny my own needs. I am not good enough unless I succeed externally. I don't belong unless I'm always accepted. I am not safe unless I control everything. I am powerless unless I dominate every situation. And there's certainly more, but most people have one primary wound that silently drives almost every major decision they make. What they pursue, what they avoid, who they try to impress, and even what they believe is possible for them. And ironically, and here comes the important part, that wound also hides our greatest superpower. For example, if your wound is, I am not perfect, your superpower is the ability to envision how things could be perfected, which gives you an intuitive sense for innovation, artistry, and excellence. Or if your wound is, I am not good enough, your superpower is a relentless drive to lead, inspire, identify market trends, and create things that truly matter. But here's the key. You don't fix these wounds by healing them the way most people think. You integrate them. You recognize that the belief behind the wound was never true to begin with. You die to the old story that you're broken, unworthy, or lacking, and when you do, your full power is no longer blocked. It moves freely through you, and you can start building your life on the strength it helped you develop. See, before I was introduced to this work, I believed that I wasn't capable. For some reason, I just assumed I didn't have the information, I didn't have the authority or the power to do something. Always someone else did. So I always reached out for reassurance. But it was so much a part of my identity and my mindset that I didn't even know I believed it. Or more specifically, I didn't realize that others didn't have this belief. I just felt like anytime I started a project or an endeavor, I had to pick up a book first or research the subject instead of jumping in and getting first-hand experience as soon as possible. I intellectualized everything because I didn't trust my natural ability. I didn't even know it existed. But on the flip side, that flawed program allowed me to become, I'm going to use a weird word here, but a knowledge synthesizer. So now when someone tells me their problem, their struggle, or what they're trying to create, I can look at it through a bunch of different lenses and give them the best solution that I'm aware of, because that's how I learned it in the first place. When I receive new information about how the world works, for example, I don't just accept it blindly. I relate it to different ideas. I put it through different filters that have already proven themselves true and useful. And then I make it part of my worldview. But see, I would have never realized I had this superpower if it wasn't for this work. And if you're not aware of your patterns, chances are it's been steering every major decision you've ever made. Speaking of this work, my mentor, the founder of this whole superconscious movement, also went through his own awakening. See, for most of his life, he believed that his value came from how much he achieved. Deep down, he thought he was only loved when he worked hard and succeeded. And so he spent years chasing that approval, especially from his father. Because of that, he only pursued goals that would earn him applause. Big projects, big milestones, big look at me moments. But when he started connecting to his superconscious, everything shifted. He realized that chasing external success was just feeding an old wound. So he made the decision to let go of the need to impress anyone, to follow his true creative impulse instead, even if it meant looking like a failure for a while. And he did. He launched the Superconscious movement not from a need to prove himself, but from a genuine vision he believed in. At first, it was brutal, spending 30 to 40K a month just to keep it alive, while his team, his family, and everyone around him quietly questioned what he was doing. But he trusted the deeper insight. 8 months in, he finally cracked the code and made over $300,000 in sales. If he hadn't listened to his Superconscious, if he had kept chasing success the old way, not only would his life look completely different, so would mine. Here's the truth. The Superconscious isn't some special magic that only a few people have. It's the next level of intelligence that every human being could access, but most never do. Most people live their whole lives operating only from their conscious and unconscious mind, never realizing there's a third, infinitely more powerful part waiting for them. If you want to start tapping into your Superconscious to update your internal programming, access real insight, and integrate the parts of you that are secretly your greatest superpowers, I've created a free community to help you do exactly that. It's called Superconscious Awakening. Inside, you'll find free training, a supportive community, and a step-by-step guide to start building a life you truly love by working with your full self, not against it. Click the link in my bio, join for free for a limited time, and I'll see you inside.